A young disabled woman who has been dependent on her mother for her entire life is facing now another huge obstacle.
Yeah, the woman's mother died a few months ago, believing her daughter would not have to worry about paying off the mortgage. But WATE 600 side consumer reporter Don Dare tells us, unfortunately, that's not the case, Don.
Yeah, Debbie Early owes nearly $6,000 on her home. The debt came as a surprise to Debbie because while her mother, Effie, was alive, she believed insurance added to her monthly mortgage payment would cover the outstanding loan on her mobile home if she died. But when Mrs. Early passed away, Debbie learned the sad truth.
Since 87.
For 30 years, Debbie Early is called Andersonville home. Debbie is disabled. She has cerebral palsy, a disorder that damaged a part of her brain that controls movement. Since 1994, she's lived in this mobile home bought by her parents. She's now alone. Her dad died 13 years ago. Her mother passed away 2 months ago. How much debt is on the home?
It's $5,800, almost $6,000.
When we first met Debbie in May of last year, she struggled to get through a bedroom doorway. Thick carpeting made it difficult to wheel herself around. Her mother, Effie, always took care of Debbie, but 2 years ago, Effie had a stroke, was unable to use her left arm, was then diagnosed with cancer. In July of last year, workmen set out to remodel the Early's home after seeing our first report in the spring. A new walk-in tub was installed to make access easier for Debbie and her mother. The old carpeting was torn up and new smooth flooring put down so both women could move their wheelchairs more easily. Debbie and her mother were grateful.
I say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
What do you say to the guys who came?
Thank you, and God bless you.
A little more than 5 months after this interview, Effie passed away January 5th.
She died in her bedroom and I was holding her hand and she died, telling her I loved her and to tell Daddy I loved him. So it's been hard.
A little more than a year before she died, Mrs. Early left this letter to Debbie, her only surviving family member.
She had always told me that she had insurance to pay off a loan on the house.
The handwritten letter dated August 16, 2015 is not a legal will. Debbie had not seen the letter until after her mother died, but it's clear Effie believed her daughter would not have to worry about mortgage payments.
My house is mortgaged through City Financial. If something should happen to me, I have insurance to pay off the mortgage.
What did you find out from the mortgage company?
They said there wasn't no insurance. Well, she called them a couple months before she passed and talked to them about it, and they assured her she still had it.
The remaining mortgage, according to City Financial records, is close to $6,000.
And I've lived here for 30 years, but there's no way I can pay that.
With what you make
No.
a month?
No, because I make $903 a month, and it's $522 a month.
Debbie said her mother had a $10,000 life insurance policy. Much of that money went toward funeral expenses and outstanding debts. A little more than $1,000 is left. After discovering the hard truth, Debbie contacted City Financial.
And I said, Mama, it was under the belief, and she even called somebody before she died, and you all told her that there was insurance on it. And he said, well, I'm sorry, I don't know who told you that, but there's no insurance on it.
Debbie is hopeful City Financial in South Carolina can somehow work with her.
I would like some way to get it paid off or get it done where I can afford it. I don't want to lose my home. I can still feel Mom and Daddy in the house, and even my sister.
Now, due to her disability, Debbie receives health care plus $900 a month from Social Security, as you heard. But with $500 going to the mortgage, Debbie believes she can hold out only for a few more months before her savings and the remainder of her mother's small insurance policy is gone. That's why she is hoping a lower payment might be negotiated with the mortgage company. And Kristen and Ryan, the story isn't over yet, and we'll let you know what happens here.
We hope that
Yes.
they can work out something to make this more livable for her.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Well, a disabled Anderson County woman will be able to keep her home now.
Glad to report this. The mortgage on her home will be paid off, all thanks to former classmates and some perfect strangers. WATE 600 side consumer reporter Don Dare first told us about Debbie Early last month.
Yeah, and lots of Debbie's high school classmates saw that story, which is really nice. When her mother died in January, Debbie Early lost her best friend and caregiver. Debbie has been disabled since childhood. Unable to work, she was shocked to learn that the mortgage to her mom's home was not covered by insurance, as she first believed. A small life insurance policy paid for her mother's burial and paid off her credit card debts, but Debbie's disability was not enough to pay the house loan that she would now assume. One thing about Debbie, as you'll see, she is a woman of faith, and she says her prayers were answered.
Fine, how are you?
Debbie Early never knew she had so many friends.
Good to see you, girl.
Good to see you too.
4 of Debbie's high school classmates visited not only to say hello, but to tell her not to worry again about mortgage payments. $6,000
Yeah.
is the mortgage on your
Yeah.
home. Last month, Debbie showed us this notice for $6,000 from her mother's home loan company. Debbie has cerebral palsy and now lives alone in the house where she grew up. Her dad died years ago. Before her mother passed away in January, Effie Early, she had been Debbie's caregiver, believed insurance on her mortgage would pay off the mobile home she shared with her daughter.
My house is mortgaged through City Financial.
In this letter from 2015, Mrs. Early wrote, insurance would pay the mortgage. Her daughter wouldn't have to worry. But she does. Debbie receives $903 a month in disability. The mortgage is $522 a month. She called City Financial's mortgage department.
They eventually told me that there was no insurance. There have never been no insurance and I owe the money.
In our story last month, Debbie said she was afraid she'd lose her home.
I shared your story on my Facebook page. Lots of people, Cecil, other friends shared it.
Clinton High School classmate Cecil Scarborough set up a GoFundMe account in Debbie's name. A second account was set up at SunTrust Bank in Clinton.
It went very well. Within the minutes of Cecil posting that, classmates from all around were giving you donations
Yeah.
to help you keep your pretty little home.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was worried about losing it.
No, you're not going to, baby.
Donations to save the house were given by 1987 Clinton High School graduates who live locally and across the country.
It was really sad, her losing her mom and then afraid of losing her house. And just thought, hey, we need to do something.
We're fortunate we're going to be able to pay off her mortgage so she doesn't have to worry about losing her home, her land that her family's had for 30 years.
Before Debbie's classmates started their fund drive, there were some anxious moments for her.
You were worried there for a while.
Yeah, I was. I did a lot of crying and praying and the Lord helped me.
Her entire mortgage is paid off now, thanks to you and other classmates.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal feeling. I mean, our class of 87 and the classes a couple years above and below, I mean, we're just a really tight group.
A group of people who truly know what friendship means.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of my classmates and anybody that donated. Thank you.
Many of you called wanting to help Debbie. Quite a few of our viewers, people who didn't know her, contributed to Debbie's fund at the Clinton SunTrust Bank. We're told there will be money left over, that it will be carefully managed and used to pay her future property taxes. And Ryan and Kristen, Debbie is truly grateful tonight.
I just absolutely love this community and that they pulled together to make sure that she was going to be okay.
Clinton High School class of 87.
That's pretty cool.
And everyone who watches our program and pitched in as well.
Hats off to everyone out
Yeah.
there for pulling together.
Yep.
Don, thank you so
Yes.
much.